Good evening, folks. You might recall in my previous video where I showed you this police flashing light kit that I said that my kids had a ride on Little Tikes police car, and on top of this police car is this little light unit which doesn't have any electronics in it. It's just a little bit of holographic sticker to reflect the sunlight or the ambient light. And the kids were always asking why the lights didn't work. And clearly that's the reason why. So I purchased this flashing kit from AliExpress with the intention of placing it inside, and it was advertised as 12 volts, and I thought, well, I don't know if I truly believe it was 12 volts, because you quite often have bought things and it's been the wrong voltage stated, but it was indeed 12 volts. So having a play about with it this afternoon, I unashamedly did not do any mathematics on it at all. I just thought I'd try a little bodge and see if it works. And suffice to say, it did work. So I'm basically going to show you how to modify this now and get it to work on a lower voltage. So this is it currently on 12 volts with the white and red LEDs, as you can see there. And if I start to crank it down, we can see at 9 volts the whites go off, and 7 volts there, and at 6 volts even the reds totally turn off. So that's not going to be ideal, you know, for a that's not ideal because we needed to work on a lower voltage. So what I did was, and like I say, unashamedly, I did not do any mathematics on it. I didn't look at resistor values or anything like that. I just basically hacked this little PCB. Now, I explained in the previous video that these are 4x4 rows. The rows are in series, and horizontally the rows are in series, and vertically they are in parallel. So all I did was, and prepare for a deep breath here because it doesn't look pretty, but what I did was I cut the traces in between the resistors in series and basically wired it up in parallel. And I just did this as a proof of concept using some cut-off leads from the LEDs themselves when I was installing them. And what happens now is, if I unplug it and make sure it's set fairly low, so we'll set it at 3 volts just now, and if I pop this in here, you will see that it is driving those LEDs perfectly. 3 volts, it's drawing 20 milliamps, something like that, nothing at all, and that is perfectly bright. And if I put it underneath the the light unit itself, or the lens I should say, that looks actually pretty good. So what I thought we'd do would basically, what I was going to do was basically show you how to do that and fit it into the light unit. Now, it's not as bright, obviously, at 3 volts. If I just crank it up to 4.5 volts, that's much brighter. It's still got a resistor on it. Like I say, I've not even checked the value on it, but it seems to be driving these perfectly well. So yeah, ideally, I think I said in the video that I'd want to drive it off. I actually made a mistake in the video. I said 3 AAAs, I meant 3 AAs. But 4.5 volts, I think it's going to be perfect. That resistor on there, it's not overdriving those LEDs at 4.5 volts, and I'm pretty content with that. Anyway, I'm conscious that I'm waffling on again. So what I'm going to do is basically modify these other boards, and we'll get them working at the lower voltage. So I think we'll crack on and do that now. I was going to say I don't know what ones are the white ones, but white LEDs are quite easy to distinguish by looking at the looking through the top of the lens. You can see that that's a creamy colour, if you like, sort of white, and that's just I think it's phosphor in there that gives it that white white light. So yeah, so this is a red one. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and modify it, and all we're going to do is, using a sharp knife, is basically cut the traces. Now once you've cut a trace, it's quite handy if you've just got your multimeter on continuity mode, and obviously make sure it's working, and then just check each side and make sure your trace is cut, which that is there. Obviously if it's not, you're going to get a beep. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and cut all these traces, and then I'll restart the video. See you in a second. Welcome back, folks. Right, that's the traces cut. Like I say, just using a sharp knife. I've checked for continuity and they're all good. So the next thing we're going to have to do is basically wire up each side in parallel. And all I'm going to use is some Kynar wire that I've stripped the insulation off. And all we're going to do is basically tack up each one, just using the existing solder already on there, like so. And if you just sort of pull it taut onto the board, and then just use the tip of your soldering iron just to melt that solder that's already on there, like so. There we go. Then what we'll do is we'll take it round the edge, and obviously we don't want to go on to the next one, we want to leave a space, and then take it onto the next row, if that makes sense. So we've got a positive here, so then that side's negative, that one's positive, next one's negative, and all we're doing here, if you can see, is just connecting those as we go along. Okay, and then again missing the next row out, and then going on to the other row. Hopefully you can see that, so I think it's maybe out of focus there. Okay, and that looks a bit right. And then we'll just take it round the corner onto the top of the other side, and that's that lot wired. And we can either use a sharp knife or a little set of snips. Now we'll just give that a little visual inspection, make sure you're happy with it. If there's anything being touched up, so a little bit of solder applied to it, we'll just go ahead and do that. Like so. Okay, folks. Right, once you've done that, because we've been soldering, in between, in between the cut traces, it's worth just again getting continuity test, and then just test between the positive and negative connector, and that'll just tell you if there's any shorts in there. So that's one side done. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pause, and then I'll do the other lot, and then I'll come back to you. So just give me a moment. Okay, welcome back. Right, that's that done. As you can see, just went up and down using short pieces of Kynar and a couple of little bit of bodge wires there, just to get the 2 rows in this every second row, if that makes sense. So that's it, ready to go really. I'm happy with that. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to take off the connector that's we put on last night, because there's no real need to have the connectors on here. And what it's the connectors are going to do is basically just causes a little bit of a problem actually getting the LEDs through the plastic when we cut a hole in that, because it is quite quite high profile connector, and if we don't take it off, basically the very tips of the LEDs will only protrude through. By taking that off, we're getting it through another sort of 5mm or so. Anyway, that's that tidied up. Next thing we're going to do is actually look at the unit itself now. So we've got lots of LEDs, we're red and blue, and while we're here actually, I'll just take this one off again. Like so. And we'll just need to be careful with this one because we do actually have a bodge wire going onto that pad there, but that looks okay. Perfect. So let's say that's the 2 units ready to go. And next thing to do is, we'll look at cutting these out. So what I'm going to do is, very simply, look at position it in there, and I'll just mark this extremities of the LEDs themselves. And this doesn't need to be too precise because it's going to be covered up. It's going to be covered up by the lens outside, and we will be applying copious amounts of hot glue to this as well. So roughly, that's what we're looking at there. And we can just again translate that across to the other side. And if we need to open it up slightly, we can. This does not need to be precise at all. Okay. Right, now the way we're going to cut this is by using one of my favourite tools. Oh, I nearly threw it away there, and that is the hot knife. I would like to ideally use a Dremel, but it's a bit noisy. I'm doing this, it's actually 11 o'clock at night, so yeah, I'm just going to use my hot knife, and let's go mental and use a nice new blade. So the way these work is basically the gas comes out here. This is a gas powered one. Gas comes out here, it gets burned into a little piece of a catalyst, and heats up the blade very, very quickly. And I just position it where I really want it. Like so, that should do. And it's just simply a case of turning the gas on, single click, and if you look in there you'll see that catalyst start to heat up. And then once you see this side sort of heating up, you know the blade's ready to go. Do be careful if you're using a gas one, because this is essentially the exhaust port, and that is super hot gas coming out there, so just be careful of that. Okay, so we'll quickly give this a try and see how it works. And we just need to give it a sort of gentle cut initially to get our outline, and hopefully you can see that working there. Do be super careful when you're doing this, because if it does slip, it can result, as you would expect, in a nasty burn. Okay. Right, once you've done your outline, go in with a deeper cut and try and keep it on the inside of the mark you made. That'll prevent you from opening it up too much. He says as he makes an absolute mess of that there. And try not to breathe this stuff in. And there we have it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video now and cut out the other side. I'm going to clean this up with a sharp knife, and then we'll go about constructing the actual LED unit itself now. See you in a moment. Welcome back, folks. Right, that's it. Would you call it cut out and cleaned up? he says. I've just noticed I've missed a little bit of plastic here, but yeah, cleaned up in the loosest sense of the word. And if we take our little boards now and then just pop them in there, we can see they stick out fairly nicely, fairly level, and will look, I think, not too bad. So just like that. Okay, so what we now need to do is we've removed the connectors from the boards. Remember to get that extra height in LEDs. So we're now going to have to basically attach wires onto this to connect into the controller board. So what I've done is I've just marked on this side so I don't biff it, just a positive and negative. And what I did was I took one of these connecting leads that came with it, the little JST connectors on each end, cut one of them in half, and I basically tinned the ends of the wires I've cut off. So it's now just a case of basically soldering these on to the pads on the rear, like so, and like so. Right, so that's one done, and we'll do the other side now. Oops. Okay, right, now before we go any further, it would make probably probably make sense to test it out. So we'll just plug these in, and we'll plug our power in. So let me check that, we might have a little short or something here. Yep, just let me test this and check this one. You're getting this, warts and all, guys. I'll not pause here, we'll have a look together, see what the problem is. Alright, I can't actually see what the problem is on this one. It should be working. Ah, it is working in a fashion. Yeah, there must be a short on here somewhere, which I'll have to investigate. So if you just bear with me, I will pause and I'll come back to you once we've got that resolved. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it was a little short. It was just here where I've used the this cut off to branch here. That this row here, the third one from the right, and the one going across the top had actually shorted. So not a drama, but we can see that's working perfectly well on 4.5 volts. We'll just try dropping it down again to 3. Well, that's 2.5 volts, and that's still working relatively well. So happy with that, content with what we've done there. So next thing is actually going to be installing it in the unit itself. The way we're going to do that is quite simple. We're going to take one side, doesn't matter what side is, because you know, we can check the lenses afterwards. And then using a hot glue gun that I showed you last night. Really impressed with this actually. We're just going to put a little bead on there. Oops. Just to hold it in place. So, check it again. I'm going to have to go in with another stick now. So once that's in place, we'll just check the alignment. It doesn't need to be perfect, you know, as long as it's sticking out a bit, that'll be fine. And then we'll go on the other side. I want to be careful with this one because I don't want to short it again. So that looks fine. Bead on that side. And a little bead on that side. Sorry, hopefully you saw that. Okay, right. So those look relatively even. Grand. Right, now that we've got an initial bit of adhesive in there holding it in place, we're just going to simply not fill it up, but get enough round the outside now that it's gonna hold it in place, and it's going to stop water ingress or moisture ingress. And we're going to cover the entire back of this as well, to essentially pot it or encapsulate it. That's going to stop any corrosion and any movement. And it doesn't matter if some of this leaks out into the other side, because we're going to be basically doing the same on the other side. And again, so that's that all covered up. And what we'll do now is I'll just pause the video and wait till that sets, and then we'll go on to the next stage. Catch you in a moment. Right, welcome back folks again. Okay, that's LEDs installed, as you can see. The hot melt glue has set, or dried if you want to call it that. It's not technically dried, it's just set, yeah. And what I did just while I was off camera was I just put a blob of hot glue in the bottom there, and then just put the PCB in for the controller, and then just put a dab in 3 of the corners. I left this corner free because this has got the little 50k pot to adjust the flash rate. So now that that's in, we can go ahead and install the 2 connectors. Something I didn't mention before was I've removed one of the connectors. There was 3 LED modules with this kit, and the 2 connectors you see here that are remaining gave it a nice even flash. You know, it was flashing equal each side, whereas the end connector was a slightly different flash rate, so that's the reason I took that off. So yeah, that's the wiring in now, or the LEDs connected in. I've left a bit of free wire on here, just so that when we do fit a battery pack, that we might need to, you know, put it in a different way, and it gives us a bit of flex to do so. So thinking back to the video last night, what I'm going to do now is I'm basically going to encapsulate these LEDs, and that's going to act well, it's going to serve 2 purposes. It's going to act as protection from water ingress, and it will also help diffuse the LEDs and the light that they output. So just go with that initial fill like I showed you last night. Like so. And because we've sealed up the inside, we don't need that much to seal the outside, because it's basically going to act as a sort of a reservoir, if you like, for the glue we're putting in. So just a little bit, the bare minimum, just to fill up any gaps you see on the outside. Like so. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to pause the video. Once that's set, that first fill, if you want to call it that, once that's set, I'm then going to apply a second coating, because obviously the lenses are still exposed. So I'm going to build up a layer. I think I should only need one more layer once this is set, and then a second layer just to give that sort of diffuser effect. So if you bear with me yet again, I'll be back with you shortly. Right, welcome back to part 143. Right, that's it all done. I've put that second layer on there and it looks fairly nice. I've just actually noticed there, I could do a little touch up there. Just like so. But yeah, as you can see, we've got a nice opaque cover now that's going to diffuse that light being emitted from the light emitting diodes. So next thing to do is obviously put the lenses on, and I cleverly wrote R&B on the inside just to remind me of which lens went on which side. So we will just pop these in like so, and those just snap into place. Oops. And that's the blue one on. Okay, so looking at the unit now, it's not obvious that, you know, it's not obvious that it's a bodge job, but it looks fairly clean and tidy inside. Now what we can do is we can possibly seal up these tabs to stop water coming in. I won't do that just now because I'm still not 100% certain where I'm going to put switches, and I might need to, you know, take them off to do stuff. But you know, if you're going to do this, obviously advisable to seal that up. So the next thing to do is actually test the thing. So all we're going to do is plug this in and we'll see how it looks. And I think if I take the bench lights off, that looks fairly cool. I think the kids will be pleased with that. Yeah, that's currently run at 4.5 volts. So if I drop that down to 3, and we'll see how that performs at 3 volts. That's it at 3 volts. It's still quite a nice effect. Obviously not as bright, but probably better to run it at 3 volts. Looking inside, you know, be it 3 or 4.5 volts, there is plenty of space in here to put either a 2 or 3 cell AA battery pack. But that, guys, is it. The only thing left to do is obviously attach the battery pack rather than powering it off the bench supply, and then mount a small switch. I think probably in this side here would probably be best, or maybe on this edge here. But we can put a switch in there as appropriate and as we see fit. I won't teach you to suck eggs. I'm sure you're aware of how you would do that. Obviously just take care. You might need to be a bit more tidier when you're cutting through the plastic on the side here. One other thing I suppose we could do is, before we go, is we'll see the different flash rates and see what looks better. So that's pretty much strobing, and it goes all the way down to that. That's the slowest speed setting, which yeah, I think it's probably going to be the best option actually. Just keep it on that slowest one there. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I know it was quite a lengthy video, what we're up to, half an hour nearly. But yeah, it's a nice, relatively simple mod, you know, for a child's toy. And obviously you can implement this in any sort of outdoor toy, or, you know, large child's toy. Not for large children, but, you know, a large toy for a child. But yeah, nice finish. I think it's very effective, and I'm sure the kids will be chuffed to bits with it. Anyway, guys, if you found that interesting or useful, as always, please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for some more videos shortly. I'll just reiterate just now, I'm running that competition, so if you go back a few videos, it's actually entitled competition time. Just read the instructions and write the comments. I think at current state of play I'm about 215 subscribers, so another 35 subscribers, and then I'll pick somebody from random and send them a little goodie bag. yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, and one other thing, if you've any comments about videos you'd like to see me do, or any feedback at all, please leave that as well. Anyway, guys, let's say half an hour now. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, all the best.